what the hell? There's a bunch of people around. I made something up. It was bad. What would you say, Josh?
My goal is to create wealth.
Cool, right? So are these wrong answers? No, of course not. You want them to become independent. You want them wealth, but does that really encompass everything that we do? You know, Primerica says that their mission is to what? Property protect, income, debt-free, financially independent, as long as not that. So this is what he said. I thought this was pretty good. Now, what he said was, if you walk up to anyone, now he has probably 600-700 licensed agents. This is a big guy, right? He said, if you walk up to any of my licensed agents, this is something we repeat all the time. This is our mission with our clients, that they are protected today and they are protected tomorrow. Very simple. So when we sit down with a client, we want to say, look, we want to put you on a financial game plan. And our mission is to make sure you're protected today and you're protected tomorrow. Very, very simple. And that, unlike what I said and what these guys said, it encompasses everything that we do. Because what do we know? Life insurance protects you today. Investments protect you tomorrow. If something happens to you today, tomorrow, the next day, life insurance is going to pay out, right? And in the future, if you're still alive, God willing, those investments are going to take over. They're going to protect your future from your retirement moving forward, right? So protect today with insurance. We protect tomorrow with investments for those of you guys who are new. So what he does is he goes over the theory of decreasing responsibility. Some people use this, some people don't. He's saying that this is almost his entire presentation. And explaining, if you're new, right? If you want to click through this, oh, it doesn't have everything, right? But today, I've memorized this. Today, your children are young, you owe on a mortgage, your debt may be high, and the loss of income would be devastating, right? That's what we say in the theory of decreasing responsibility. So the client that we're meeting with in the beginning, their children are young, their debt is high, they owe on a mortgage, and if they lose their income with young children and a lot of liabilities, the loss of income would be devastating. Now, at retirement, our children are grown, our mortgage is paid, our debt is paid, we have a lot of money saved, and at this point, there's no one really left to protect because our kids are older now and we have a lot of savings. So the theory of decreasing responsibility explains what? Our responsibility to our dependents, that responsibility actually decreases over time. See, when I was 7 years old, my parents' responsibility was that if they go, they need to make sure that I can still survive. That's their responsibility. Now I'm 39. I have my own business. I have my own savings. They are no longer responsible for me. So the theory is your responsibility decreases. That's where this comes from. See, a lot of times we can read the words that are on a slide, but do you understand the words behind the words? As a parent, as a protector, your responsibility financially towards your dependents actually decreases over time. Because today the kids are young, later the kids are older. Today we don't have a lot of savings, tomorrow we will have savings. So if you just read what's on here, right? In the early years, you need a lot of coverage for this reason. The kids are young, the debt is high, the savings isn't there. But in the later years, right? So we don't have money. In the later years, you better have money. Why do you need to have money? You better have money. Look how Primerica worded that, because this is their diagram, right? You better have it, because how are you going to survive? Social Security for a lot of us, you know, that are young, and especially those of you who are really young, they say Social Security may not be around by the time you retire. How are you going to survive? You have to have savings. You may not be able to work. You may get sick, right? God forbid. Or you just want to have a good life. So you better have money. So if we can get you to a point to where you have money in the later years, whereas before you needed coverage, in the later years, you may not. So in the early years, we want life insurance coverage because we don't have a lot of savings, but eventually it flip-flops, right? Once we have the savings, now we don't need life insurance. And I like to show clients, if you have an investment license, I like to show clients hypotheticals, right? I show them examples, and actually we can go and we can talk about this really quick, right? So this is our financial game plan. Income protection until retirement, live off massive savings in retirement or at retirement, right? So in the beginning, you're protected with income protection or life insurance. Later on, you're protected through massive savings. So what I do is I calculate with clients. I made this for, one of my reps. She's fully licensed, and we set up an account for her. Her name is Claudia. And so I set up this account for her, and I showed her, I said, look, if you set up a Roth IRA for $500 a month, look at what happens. That's the maximum you can put into an IRA is $500 a month. From 1986 to 2004, I think that's, 15 years or whatever, 15, 16, 17 years, you already have 400,000. This is an actual investment. So you have 400,000, invest 500. I mean, think about people's car payments, right? Everybody wants a nice car. Nowadays, I don't know, who has a car payment? Tell me what you drive, how much you pay. What do you have?
Chevy.
How much you pay?
400.
400 a month for a Chevy. What kind of Chevy? Huh? Chevy Cruze. Nice car, right? 400 a month. And I appreciate you sharing that because we need to know, right? So that's a car payment. Now, in the world of finance, and I have a stupidly expensive car, so I'm not saying this about you, I'm saying about, my payment is $1,600 a month, right? My property taxes are another $400 a month. My insurance is $200 a month. Do the math. That's a shitload of money on something very dumb, right? But it's something I wanted when I was, for a long time, and at a point where it doesn't really impact me financially, right? The way it would when I was a lot younger.
Yeah.
But in reality, the 400 a month, the 2,000, whatever, it's in a depreciating asset, right? Here, if we take $500 a month, let's say she holds on to that car, she pays it off, she doesn't go right around like I'll probably do and go buy a new car, right? If she takes that, and these are things I did when I was younger to build up my savings. If she drives a paid off car and she says, I'm going to take that $400 or $500 a month and I'm going to put it into an IRA, look at this. After 16, 17 years, she has 400,000 cash. But if you don't mind me asking, in 15 years, how old are you then? 14, 15 years.
36.
She's only 36, right? So she's not even close to retirement yet. Let's give it another 15 years. So this is a total of 30 years. And now with that $500 a month, it compounds, you have $3 million. So when I say you're protected today, you're protected tomorrow with massive savings, is $3 million a massive amount of savings? Absolutely. That's your financial game plan. So look, this is where we want you to get to, but God forbid you pass away early, the life insurance is going to pay out. But if you survive until retirement, you're going to have $3 million. That's the game plan. Oh, I can find cheaper insurance. No. We're not talking about insurance. We're talking about a financial game plan. The game plan has to have both working for today and tomorrow. Life insurance only protects today. It doesn't secure your future for tomorrow. If you only do investments, that only covers for tomorrow. It doesn't protect today. Does that make sense? So we want to do a financial game plan with you. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. So he calls it a budget. Shaq calls it a financial commitment, whatever you want to call it. They do not just go right out there and quote people on insurance based on coverages. Okay. What they do first is they get a budget from the client in terms of how much they can put towards their financial game plan. Okay. So this is how they do it. And I'm probably going to start doing it like this as well. They ask, what is the golden rule of finance? How much should you be saving in order to be able to become financially successful? What's a golden rule, guys?
10%.
He says 10. Some say 20. So that's exactly right. Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, and you can say this to the client. They say the golden rule is you should be saving 10 minimum to 20% of your income in order to succeed financially. 10 to 20%. So if we do a calculation for somebody that is making $6,000 a month, let's say it's a single person making 6, or it's a husband and wife combined making 6. You can pull out your calculator if you're not good with math. That would be $600 to $1,200 a month. So the golden rule says you should be saving $1,200 a month. Is that something that you can do every single month? And what he said was, he said, we have to watch body language, right? Because if someone came up to, me back when I was, 25 years old, and they said, hey, you got to save $1,200 a month, I'd be like, that's not good body language. If someone's like, that's not good body language. Now, I know these things intuitively. Maybe I don't teach and train on it as much, right? It's kind of innate when you've been in business for a long time. But for somebody new, that you got to watch out for that. If someone's like, or ooh, or hesitant, like, let me calculate. No, it's not the 1,200. Okay, well, if we go on the lower end of that, can we do at least 600? Can we do at least 600? And the question that he asked that I think is really good, he says, can you do the 600, or is it not possible due to the financial commitments that you already have? We're giving them an out. Does that make sense? See, in sales, you can be that person that's overselling, or you can be the person that's underselling. That's something that Shaq always taught me. He said, always be the underseller. Don't upsell, undersell. You'll get more clients, you'll keep more clients, and they'll give you more and better referrals, because they'll remember, like, wow, he had the opportunity to get me to spend more, but he was trying to get me to spend less, right? So I think this is really good. Hey, if we can't do the 12, could we do the 600? Or even with that, do you think with your financial commitments, you wouldn't be able to do that every single month? And the person's like, yeah, that would even, still be difficult. So let me ask you this. How close could we get to that 600? We want to stick within the golden rule, but at the end of the day, you're saying you have the financial commitments. How close can we get to that 600? So they say, well, I could probably get to, I don't know if I wrote it here. I didn't write it what they say, right? Let's say hypothetically they say $400 a month. Say, okay, we know we could do 400. Okay, so you could do that easily. Again, body language. Oh, yeah. Quick response. They're emphatic about it, right? So they say, oh, yeah, no, we could do that easily. Like, you could do it every month, $400 every month. Like, you wouldn't even notice if it came out of your account. Like, literally, I could just go in there today, we could take that out, and it would be no problem. Look at the seeds we're dropping, right? So we're giving them multiple opportunities. We're reading the body language. We started at 12, we went to 6, they told me 4, and I asked multiple questions here, right? To make it mentally, they're telling me, no, that's super easy. I wouldn't even notice it coming out. You could take it out right now. It wouldn't matter, okay? And one of the other things they say that's really good, they say, look, the financial game plan is not a contract. You can increase it and decrease it anytime you want. Is that true? Absolutely. Yeah. Because if someone opens an insurance policy with me and an investment with me, the investment can go up and down, the insurance can go up and down. Anytime a client calls me because they've had an unfortunate event where they feel they can't pay for their insurance anymore, what's the first thing, Jen, that we offer them to do? We can decrease, right? You're paying $100 a month. Hey, let's not give up our insurance completely. Maybe we can go to $50 a month. So it's not a contract. With the financial game plan, we can increase or decrease it at any time. And then we want to recap. So if we could have 500,000 if something happened today, which is the value of the life insurance policy, right? And 2 million if nothing happens by the time we get to retirement, if both of those things can happen, would it make sense to see if you qualify?
Who is this?
Alonzo Moore.
Oh my God.
Alarms.
So recap the game plan. If you could have 500,000, if something happened today, but if nothing happens, you'll have 2-3 million in retirement. If we knew that that could happen, would it make sense to see if you qualified for that? And we'll put all these slides. Thomas will, put it out there so you guys can go over this again. But then explain the process. For me, I don't do a lot of term now because the coverages that I do are, and that's why here I didn't actually explain the process, because term now is different than, the blood work. So the coverages that I usually apply for when I'm in the field are going to exceed the maximum for term now. For a policy where there's no medical, you can go as high as what, 300?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're doing a 500,000 policy, you have to do the blood work. So, I'm used to explaining the process of, look, what's going to happen is we are going to submit an application with the first month premium, and that is just a refundable deposit. It will be refunded to you if you change your mind, or it'll be refunded by way of covering the first month of your premium in the future. You're going to get a call from the medical company. They're going to schedule a time with you. They're going to come over. They're going to do blood, urine, vitals. Then it's going to be sent to a lab. Then we're going to come up with, that'll be sent to underwriting. Then we're going to come up with a decision. This could take 2-3 weeks. And then at that point, we can sit down, we can look at the numbers and see if we need to make any adjustments. Okay. So before we go back real quick. So before we make a decision, we need to see if you qualify. So are you okay with that process? Right? Before we make a decision, we need to see if you qualify. So are you okay with that process? So first we said, hey, if you can have this now and this later, does it make sense to see if you qualify? They say, yeah, of course. Okay, well, here is the process. Now, here's the thing. We're not making a decision right now, but this is what we need to do in order to get to that decision. So are you okay with the process? So you're asking them, are you okay with putting in an application and putting in that first month, right? Now, how much money do I have to work with this particular client?
400.
I have $400. Now, what he teaches, which I feel also is very easy. I've been taught some very convoluted ways to calculate how much insurance people need. I'm not going to put down anything that people in here are doing or other people, but he likes 10 times income, right? He said that's the easiest way.
Yeah.
So if someone is making $6,000 a month, it's 600,000. 8,000 a month, 800,000. Now that's the high end. Again, just like anything else, we can bring them down. But what's your name?
Kristen.
Kristen can come right in. It's like, hey, how much insurance do people need? Your responsibility is to leave your family with 10 years worth of income. After that, they can figure it out. Does that make sense? If you want to do more, you can, but your responsibility, what we say in finance, is that you need to leave your family with 10 times. It's very simple. Now you know what to quote, right? Now, if you do 600,000, you're getting a $400 commitment. If they're 40 years old, we know that policy, depending on what they qualify for, is maybe $100, $110, $120. You still have $280 to put into the Roth IRA, so you can stick to the game plan. We don't take all 400 and put it in insurance. Does that make sense? But why are we, now we don't, but most companies do this. Why are we asking the client? Why are we asking? I'm a doctor, you're a patient. I'm asking you for the prescription. Hey, what do you want me to prescribe you? It's stupid, right? You got to tell them. They'll tell you the budget, which is what? Those are the symptoms. And then with that, I'm going to prescribe you. Okay, in that certain situation, we're going to do 10 times income. Okay, your financial budget is only going to be 200. In that case, and I want you to reach retirement, maybe this policy is only going to be $60. Maybe you need 600,000, but we're going to do a term now for 250,000. Does that make sense? So you are going to be the doctor. You're giving the prescription. You decide from the financial budget how much is going to go towards insurance and how much is going to go towards investment. All right. So let's go next. I like this thing that he says as well, is covering all the odds. So let me ask you guys a question. What % of people actually use their life insurance, meaning it actually pays out. They die and it actually pays out. What percent?
2%.
He says 10. I don't know. I've heard Marcel say different things or whatever.
That's right.
Right. He says 10. And if you look at the whole thing, 10 probably works better in what we're about to say. I don't know the real answer. I don't know if that number really exists, right? But what he's saying, and I'm sure he researches somewhere, he's saying 10%. So he's saying, he asked them, he goes, what are the chances your insurance is actually going to pay out? Industry-wide, we say 10%. So if it's 10% that you're not going to make it to retirement, that makes it a 90% chance that you are going to live until retirement. So it's a very small probability. So the reason we don't just do insurance is because that only covers 10% of your odds. With the financial game plan, and if you only do investments, 90% of your odds, that's still pretty good, but it's still not everything. With the financial game plan, we cover all 100% of your odds. Right? So getting just insurance covers only 10% of your odds. Doing just investments covers 90% of your odds. Wouldn't it make sense to cover 100% of the odds? If something happens, if something doesn't happen, a financial game plan, it does that.
Is he talking about saying that to the client?
Yeah. Well, I think he says that you can say it, but I think it's if you get objections, right? Like, I just want to do this, I just want to do that. So he said that you don't want to start separating insurance and investment. You want to package it into financial game plan, right? So this is a plan. And I think that's what Primerica is really all about, right? Because what the whole life agents do is they overcome our term by saying, hey, if nothing happens, you're going to lose all that money. If nothing happens, if you don't die, and they get them to that point in the future where they say, you're not going to have anything. You're not going to have any money, and you're not going to have any coverage. But what we're doing is, and we've always done it, this is just a different way to word it, is we're saying, no, if you do the game plan, even when the insurance ends, you're going to have $3 million. Do you still need insurance at that point? No, the game plan worked. If you die, your family gets the money. If you live, you get the money. We've always said that. It's the financial game plan. It's a package deal. It protects you today and it protects you tomorrow. And that's the mission for our clients. So I thought that was really good. I think that's a very easy thing that new people can kind of just go out there and present with. I think that for those of us who use the normal presentation, that's some verbiage that we can kind of throw in there. And, you can easily get closes that way. And just because the way he gets to, and you can watch, we'll make a video of this, you can watch it over and over again, but the way he gets to that financial commitment, even by saying it could come out today, you wouldn't even notice it, it allows you to close the first time you meet with them if you feel that that's appropriate, right? If they don't have protection, we got to get it in place. Why not today? You already said you wouldn't notice it coming out of your account. So, and he really stressed just reading that body language. You can tell when someone is comfortable with a number and uncomfortable with a number. You can't just go in there and be thinking, I want them to say this, I want them to be comfortable, or they make 10 grand a month, they should be fine with 2,000 a month. What do you know about their finances?
Right.
When Josh was really young and new in the field, he'd be like, they make 4 grand a month, as if it was a lot. Like, to him, because he was making $100 a month, right? He was in high school, because he was in high school. So if he's in high school and he's making $100 a month, and then someone's making 4, to him, they're rich. So he would think, why can't they spend 100 on insurance? But it's not about what we think they should get or what we want them. It's what they're comfortable getting. Does that make sense? And now he knows that. So it's about finding that comfort zone by starting high and then coming down by asking the questions, giving them plenty of opportunities to have an out, right? Like, hey, you don't have to. Can you do it easily? Is there something less? Is this something you could do every single month? Would you even notice? Could it come out today? Right? So I thought that was pretty good.